Hi everyone, I'm Martin and welcome to another great edition of Astronomy for Beginners. And today I'm going to show you how to take pictures of auroras or northern lights or polar lights, also sometimes called. Now what these auroras are is basically they are a natural light display in the night sky. And these northern lights are produced when the Earth's atmosphere is disturbed, and by the disruption on the Earth's atmosphere, it is caused by the solar winds. And what these solar winds are doing is that they're hitting the charged particles, and it's creating a result of ionization. And within that atmosphere, in the Earth's atmosphere, with that ionization, it's actually emitting some of the light and the colours within the Earth's atmosphere. So that's when you get all these green lights or purple lights with these disruptions within the Earth's atmosphere. That's what's giving you the shimmering effect, and you can see the light waves and different shadings in the colours in the sky. And with this natural cause of light that's been disrupted into the Earth's atmosphere, it really is a spectacular show. And last week was very special for me, and I've never seen the Northern Lights. It is the most stunning view that I've never seen in my entire life. It was the first opportunity in my entire life to have witnessed such a great event that happened last week, and this was on Sunday the 6th of March. It was a very rare moment where these auroras or northern lights, and it was actually a storm at that time, and in other words this was a very intense moment, part of the sky. This electromagnetic storm was so intense that it could be seen in the UK from Scotland all the way down to Norwich. So there was people in the UK that have been able to see this event, and it is such a rare event to have for everyone to have witnessed these northern lights. For myself, where I live near St Andrews, I was very surprised what I could see, and basically it was by sheer accident. And I was basically setting up my telescope and my camera, and I was just taking pictures of the Great Orion Nebula and the Horsehead Nebula at the same time. And for some reason I just had this weird moment where in the night sky I glanced up and I noticed there was some weird shimmering. There was like a weird light, and at first I thought it was just like a searchlight, and then it got brighter and brighter and brighter, as if it was like a cloud at first, but then it started to change colours, and it was right over my head. I couldn't believe what I just saw, and it was shimmering, and there was rays of light, green and purple, and it just came in rather suddenly, and it caught me by surprise, and I was actually quite amazed what I just saw. At first I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just a fog light or street light or some light pollution, but it wasn't. And basically it was casting over the stars. It wasn't disrupting the stars by any chance, but it just gives you that feeling. I thought it was just weird clouds coming over, and as I looked closely, it wasn't. And quickly I basically took the camera off the telescope quickly and just fitted my normal stock lens, which is an 18mm by 55mm stock lens, and basically I quickly got it set up on a basic altazimuth tripod like this, and I got it mounted, and voila, I was then just taking pictures. And what a moment! I mean, I was very surprised. I've never seen anything like it, and as it progressed through the night, it lasted around about 4 or 5 hours. So it was in there for such a time. Now, some people have seen it and some people haven't. But I'll guarantee you now, you can see these. You'll be able to witness these spectacular events with the Northern Lights. Be surprised on what stunning images you can achieve by using a basic setup like this. You do not need a telescope. Using a telescope will only going to diminish the wide field of view. You just need a good DSLR camera with a wide angle lens or a stock lens like this. And believe it or not, you can take some stunning images with a normal basic setup like this. You don't need a lot of money. You can mount this on a normal camera tripod. It doesn't have to be a proper telescope tripod. And you can just mount it, point the camera towards the north part. Now there's a hint there. So some people are saying the Northern Lights. Guess what? That's where they will happen. Is if you point the camera towards the north part of the sky, you could use a compass or you can use an app to find out where north is. And then all you need is just point it to about 30, maybe 45 degree angle. That's all you need. Just a small part of the sky, alright, and you can get a really good wide field shot, okay, and with that camera set up, that's all you need. So, and that's it. And all you do, you just take pictures. Now, I'm going to show you a few pictures, and I'm going to show you a time-lapse video, and see what you think. I was absolutely amazed. It was just something that was so magical. It really got to my heart, and I've got a strong passion in astronomy, but after seeing that event, it has actually built my confidence into astronomy even more. You know, it sort of like recharged my interest even further. And believe me, if you take the pictures yourself and you have witnessed that event, you too will probably find astronomy at a newer level. And that's what's happened to me, and it's such a great moment. And I'm certain that some of our Astronomy for Beginner members will also be able to see my sort of way of thinking, or see my vision, what I'm trying to describe. So if you ever witnessed the Northern Lights yourself, and it is a magical moment. Now, bear in mind, it is a rare event, and not normally it happens in the UK, but you can see it. A few tips though, if you want to get the best view of seeing the Northern Lights, is try and get as north of England or north of Scotland as possible as you can. In other words, the closer you are up to the latitude, the better, because that's where most of the Northern Lights can be seen. And sometimes, for a few of us who are very fortunate and very lucky to book a holiday to Norway or any of the Scandinavian countries, you'd be able to get a really good view of the Northern Lights. However, not most of us can afford a very expensive holiday, because believe me, I've been to Sweden and I've been to Norway, and they are very expensive holidays. They are not cheap. However, I'm going to show you through the video guide. So, from the video guide, I'm going to first show you how to set up the camera first, so that you have a good chance when it does happen, and the event does happen near you. Set the camera so you can get some good detail of these Northern Lights. And once it's all set up, I'm going to show you other tips how you can detect when this natural event is going to happen. So it's really quite simple to do. It's not brain taxing. It's not going to demand high quality equipment, and certainly you don't have to travel to Norway or elsewhere to spend a lot of money. Because believe me, this event that happened last week did happen, and I was surprised at people with the amount of responses that I got from the photos that I just produced. I like to say I wish my thanks to all the likes from all our members and a few of the people who liked my photos and the video. I really appreciate your support, but I'd love to share what I just witnessed. It was just amazing, and I'm a big believer that I want to help you guys and girls get these images, because believe me, if you want to get these images, you too, it's such a magical moment. I can't describe it. You have to see it for yourself. And again, further north you go, the better your views will become. Also, try and go to areas which are quite dark. And if it is remote places, you'll get a better chance of seeing it. But believe it or not, there's people that I know near where I live, we've been able to see the Northern Lights even in towns and small cities. And some people who live around St Andrews and all that could also see it. So again, it depends on the situation, it depends on the event. But again, the event, you can't calculate it, nor you can plan it. It's just one of those things, it just happened. But I will show you techniques where you can plan and get reports of, and there's a few good websites that I will show you that I seriously recommend that you visit periodically so you can check. So if there is an event that might happen or so, you too can plan your setup and able to capture these rare moments of these northern lights. So again, I advise go north as possible in the UK and go to like the darkest site you can find. It's not easy, I totally agree. In the UK we've got a lot of light pollution and it can cause a lot of bugbears for some people. But again, people in Norwich being able to see it, and that is quite spectacular to able to see. Last week, to able to see the Northern Lights as far down from England. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a closer look from here.
So well, we're at our computer. I'm now going to show you the recommended websites that I advise you to use to try and locate and check the activity of auroras or nearby northern lights near your area. Now, there are loads and loads of programs you can find through the website. There's loads of valuable information, but for the people purely for the UK, I have a list of, I have a few programs that I like to show you which I find very useful. And first off, we have Aurora Watch UK. This is a nice little website. It tells you some updates of the activity. You can go and select on different areas within your location, and you can actually use like Android apps and stuff like that. You can upload to find when is your next aura, and also it's quite a good site. A little bit basic, but it's very accurate. But the best one I would seriously recommend is this one. This is the Service Aurora forecast website. This is absolutely brilliant. Again, it's a full website based on the Northern Lights for all around Europe, believe it or not, and it tells you a list of things, the positions where the aurora is going to be on the map. It even tells you the activity, and as you see, very useful little gauge. I like the map, which shows you where the aura activity might be, and it shows you the indication there. Now, for myself to see that aura that happened on Sunday last week, I was quite amazed to see it, and it was around about 6 to 7 kp. So between those points, you will see the aurora, the actual northern lights, move down. As it moved down, it was literally just about here where my mouse is pointing, just here. It was between 6 and 7, which is very active. It was classed as a storm, believe it or not, Solos type storm, aurora. At the moment, it is relatively quiet, and you have to travel further up north to Norway and Sweden to be able to see it. But during times, if this gauge goes up, and it gets updated every hourly as well, so you have to check, you know, now and again, before every day. If you want to locate an aura, just check it daily if you wish, if you've got the time to do it. But again, the forecast changes. You know, you can't predict it exactly. It's like the weather. Weather's very hard to predict, and usually for us to see it in the UK, between 6 to 9 kp rate is basically, you're more likely to see it where we're located. But as you see on the map, when I first used the app, the Aurora went, if you start getting red regions around the actual path itself, if they start turning red, it means it's very intense, and where the location you're at is, that's where the activity is going to take place. So then you'll see the Aurora, and if you see loads of red or yellow regions between that Aurora belt, you will see a lot of activity, and then the gauges will go up. Very accurate, and I do like the map as well. But again, you have to check it daily if you want to locate them. And I do like how it does a daily forecast and the 3-day forecast, so you can actually plan ahead. So check this out. It's a good website. There's there's tons of information on here as well. So it's just purely just for the Auroras, and yeah, people, you just go through the menu selection and see what you think. But this is the top one to use, to be honest with you. And I used it when it happened. I checked this website and it was on. It was something else. But again, both websites are really good to use. They're accurate, and it'll give you a good chance in capturing the Auroras.
So I'm now going to show you the setup. Now, as you can see, I've got my camera tripod pointing at north. Okay, now I've just got one of my paving slabs. Believe it or not, it's got the compass. A nice little feature which you can buy from a lot of DIY shops like Home Base and all that, and you'd be able to buy something similar like this. You can get some really good polar alignment using this little paving slab. So again, it's got a compass, and that's what I use. Now, as you can see, it's not the best skies today. During night it might clear up, I don't know, but I'm here. It's the best time to start doing the setup while it's bad weather, plus I don't want to miss my opportunity. First off, make sure that your camera lens is open. Take the lens cap first thing. You then set your camera to infinity. As you can see, it's on the 18mm mark. Okay, we take a closer look. Okay, you can see that marking there. Okay, that's the marking to infinity. Okay, that will give you the wide lens field of view, so you get the big part of the sky to get these northern lights. Also, as I mentioned before, I recommend that you get something like a remote switch or shutter release cable. This is just a simple lock-on device, and you can take pictures without disturbing the camera or the tripod when you're taking these awesome images. Also, the handy feature is I like the lock feature, as you can lock it, particularly if you're taking time-lapse movies. You want the shutter to keep continuously taking pictures through and through, and you want to get these time-lapse images. It'd be quite stunning. And again, you just leave the setup, leave it to just keep ticking over until the battery dies. Alright, and you could take 3 to 4 hours depending on your memory card on your camera, and you can take some short burst images of the northern lights. Now, again, here, as we take a close look at the camera, we switch her on. Right, you get your setup there, okay, and you want to set the camera to manual mode. Okay, so you set your camera to manual mode, like so. And then, first off, we go into autofocus. So we click on that button there. Some lens systems are already automatic and some are just manual. But again, for this camera lens, I can set it up to AF, automatic focus. We then press the live view button. Okay, and basically, as you can see here, it's over brightened. Right, you don't want that. So we'll come off into live view. We want to set the exposure to, as we go up here, using the what we're going to do first is we'll just set it at a normal, as if we're taking a normal shot, depending on the sky and all that. Because we're on the setting to infinity, we're at f3.5, which is the focal ratio you need, and that gives you a wide view. Between 3.5 to about f5 is more than adequate. So you want to get the biggest part of the sky, so you need a fast f ratio. Now, at this point here, if we just dim that down because it's a bit bright. Okay. So from there, now it's at ISO 1600. Ideally, it's a bit too sensitive. So, but again, it's adequate depending on your skies. Between 800 to 1600 ISO speed is recommended. But personally, I think the ISO 800 is more adequate. Also, if we click on menu and we go into quality, now if you're taking still shots, I recommend that you use RAW or JPEG files. Now if you're taking time-lapse movies, you're going to use your memory card rather quickly. So if you're taking time-lapse movies, then I recommend that you go into just JPEG format, okay, and just click on that. It's on JPEG format. So just a top tip, if you're taking time-lapse movies, take it in JPEG format. You get more images and gives you a longer timed video. If you're using RAW, then for like still shots, then I recommend using RAW format. You can use JPEG, it really is up to you, but I prefer taking RAW and JPEG files together if you're taking still shots. So just remember that. For time-lapse movies, use JPEG. For stills, use RAW format files, okay? And the RAW format files will actually reveal more detail in the night sky. So that's only for stills though. So we're just going to select this option here, RAW and JPEG files together. Okay, we go out of that. So what we're going to do is we've got to get the camera focused first. It's very crucial before the event happens. Get the camera focused. It's very crucial that you do that. So again, make sure it's on AF, and just basically switch on to live view. Okay, you'll be on live view, and then what you do is you point the camera, and with the camera using the shutter, okay, using the shutter, you can press it to focus the image, or use the pretzel, okay, and you just focus the image. Okay, you keep going until you're sharp. Okay, you take the shot. Okay, and as you can see, we're focused. So we're now focused. Then, not all cameras have it, but on this camera, for example, I switch it off to manual focus. Once it's in manual focus, then leave it. Leave the focus alone, and you don't touch the lens system. You then go to out of live view. You then set your camera. So again, set your exposures. So you then go into the exposure, which is ISO 800, and we just use the setting. And the best setting that I find is to get the auras. They're quite faint at first, but I use between 13 seconds to about 6 seconds. Okay, 13 seconds to 6 seconds. They're the settings that I use. You don't need a lot, okay, but 13 is probably the max. Okay, so 6 to 13 seconds is the recommendation of the settings. Okay, and then basically, looking where north is, I point the camera and I tilt it to around about 30 to about 45 degrees, and then wait till dark. And again, using the software I'm going to show you, wait for the event. You're now focused, you're now ready to go, and then once it happens, you then can start taking your time-lapse movies or your photos. Okay, and then you just take them one by one. Okay, it's that simple. And with this simple setup, you can get some really good images of the Northern Lights, and that's all it is. It's as simple as that. Now, one thing I do need to let you guys and girls know is if you take a look here, because the camera is exposed, as you see, the lens is exposed. Usually on certain nights it can be quite dewy, and moisture will form up on the lens of your camera. So I recommend that you get yourself one of these, which is an Auroras Dew Buster. This is basically a control box that connects to a car battery or a power tank, whatever you have. It connects there, and you can buy these for about 40 to about £50, and you can buy a band strip like this, which has a jack plug that plugs into the Auroras power unit itself. Okay, this is a 2-inch or 3-inch, depending on your lens system, on the diameter. You just wrap that round the camera, and then you switch it on, put it onto medium heat, and that will fight off dew all night long. And the thing is, you won't disturb the camera's position or the tripod, and believe me, it makes life just that little bit easier, particularly if you're taking time-lapse movies. You don't want the lens system to fog over, because then that will ruin that magical moment of the night sky. You don't want to lose that valuable information or data. So again, highly recommend that you get something like that. If you don't have anything like that, just use a hairdryer. You can get one that you can plug into a cigarette lighter, and again, that does the same thing. You can just use the hairdryer, and time after time, just briefly just go over it, just to warm up the lens, and it'll just do it until the lens system clears. So again, you will lose valuable time frames doing it, but that's why this plays dividends, because that device will prevent you, fight you all night long. Okay, and it doesn't cost much money. For the whole setup here, probably around about £60 at the most, and it's simple. It fights off dew, and again, top recommendation, you get this piece of kit. So that's just the basic setup, and again, it's simple. You don't need to waste a lot of time. One thing I need to highlight is, if you are taking time-lapse movies, make sure that you set your camera. If we press this option here, make sure you're on continuous shooting. Okay, and press OK. You're on continuous shooting. So you're on continuous shooting. Very crucial when you're taking the time-lapse movies. So again, that's one of the top tips to also highlight. And that's basically, that's all you got to do. ISO 800, 6 to 13 seconds, at f3.5 in manual mode, and you can take in RAW for still shots, or you can take in JPEG for time-lapse movies, and then that's it. That's all you got to do. Bang, 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 go, go, get those images. So now what we're going to do is, after we've collected all our photographs from the night, we want to enhance your Aurora photos or your Northern Light photos so that you can really pop out the colour, make them detailed, look stunning. Believe it or not, depending on your skies, depending on your locations, the auroras can differ all the time. Usually you can get some nights where they can be really active and they can be really green and so forth. And some nights they just hardly appear at all in your photos. So what we're going to do is trying to enhance the photos, still retain some of the quality, but try and maximize some of the detail and the colour and make them really pop out and make your images stunning. Now this is not cheating, this is just making the colour more intense so your images just pop out. As you can see in this image there, here's me outside my garden with the Northern Lights, and as you can see there's loads more green. Now if you compare it to the original photo, if we scroll down, now this is the original photo. Again, the original photo is great. You still got the green, and you still got bits of red in there, but again it just looks a bit dull. It just looks, it just needs a bit more colour. And as you can see in that picture, you can really tell the difference between the two. Okay, and as you can see in the Photoshop image, it looks a little bit more green, and this is, well, the green's there. It's still good. There's still a lot of detail in there, but we just want to enhance the detail and make your images look spectacular. So what we're going to do is we go into Photoshop. Okay, once Photoshop is loaded up, we go into Open, and we're going to open an image file. So we go into Desktop, and we're going to find My Images. So now, as I mentioned before, when you're taking still shots, I seriously recommend that you take raw images. And the reason for that is, if you take raw images, particularly if you're taking raw shots, is that you can get a lot of detail that can be popped out. You get a much more detailed photo compared to a JPEG format. So we're going to pick an image, and we'll pick this one, 200. Right, open that image. Now you can do a bit of processing through here, through this menu. Now, but personally, I like to just open the image and actually do the more intense stuff. Now, as you can see in this image, I've got some detail there of the Northern Lights, and you can see, yeah, a little bit of red, a bit of green in there. We just want to enhance it. So what we're going to do is we go into the background. Now, whatever you're editing on your images, try and do duplicate copies of your original image. If you edit anything in background, you will not be able to do any changes within your images. So always do duplicates. So to do that is do right click on your mouse button, click on duplicate layer. Okay, okay, and this will give you a background copy. And so whatever you are doing adjustments on your levels and curves, you're not going to ruin the original image. So once you've got that,
click on this button here where my arrow is pointing, and I will go on to curves. Again, this will give you a graph, and what we're doing is we're trying to lower some of the background detail. So you lower just a curve, quick, slow adjustments. You go on the top bit and then do some adjustments. Okay. Right. But only mild adjustments. You don't need to do too much because you can end up cutting into the image. You end up making the image look pixelated and weird. So just do minor adjustments. As you can see, by adjusting some of the actual curves, you can see some of the shadows are starting to appear in the image. Then what we're going to do is click on the bottom again of this icon, and we're going to exposure. Exposure is a new tool that's featured in Photoshop 2015, and I like this one because you can really pop out some real detail in there and some colour and you name it. And what it does is it basically, you can bring the image, the foreground appear much brighter, and you can darken the background. So again, you just do mild adjustments. So we're going to pop the foreground a bit, okay, but a little bit, you'll need a little few tweaks, and then we're going to darken the background. If you do too much, like you see here, you start cutting in the image and you start losing detail. So again, just up it up and get to a point where you can get a manageable level. Okay, too much can ruin the image, and too little you can start losing detail that way. And again, you can do a gamma correction. You know, you can lower the gamma a bit. Alright, and say about here. Once you're happy, it all depends on your taste. It all depends on your how you want your image to look. There is no real guidelines on how you want your image. It's all up to you. You decide how you feel about that image. So again, we go back to the selection again, and we go into another one called Vibrance. This will add a bit of saturation to your images, and it also intensifies the colour a little bit more. So again, if you start going too much, you start getting a falsifying colour. So you just want to back it off a bit, get to the level you think is ideal for you. You can add a bit of saturation. Don't go too much, because if you go too much, you can see it starts cutting into the image and it starts making it look weird, and you don't want that to do that. So again, only mild adjustments. You don't need to do too much. Go back to the menu again, and we go into color balance. Now, color balance is where you can mix different colors within the image, and if you prefer to have a lot more green in the image, or you would prefer a little bit blue, it all depends. And this function allows you to do that. So again, if you want to up the green and you want to see a lot more of the green detail to pop out, you can see here we're starting to get loads of green, or you like the blue, but get to a point where you can start to see some of the detail. And again, go too much, you still end up getting a completely different image altogether. So mild adjustments, that's all you need to do. So yeah, adjust the color balance, get what sort of color or what you prefer. Okay, once you're happy, I prefer to, if there's a bit of red or a bit of green, just try and get a sort of a balance in between. Okay, you don't want to put too much green, or as you start losing the detail on the red as well. So once you're happy, you've got an image that you like, okay, and you've got a good, good sort of, alright, and you're happy with that image, As you see, the main aim is trying to capture some of the shadows and within the detail. Alright, as you can see there in that image now, there's loads of detail there I've just gained, but I think I need to adjust the exposure a little. So if I can try and up the exposure, that's better. Not too much off the offset, we don't want to lose too much. The setting can be a bit difficult to get it just right. Alright, I'm starting to get some more shadows here, which is good to see. Okay, we might adjust the gamma a little bit, so not too much you start losing detail. You've got to be very okay. I'm happy with that. Already I'm starting to get loads of shadows now and some structure in there, which is good to see. And again, you can do with Photoshop. I mean, this is just a basic guideline to further enhance your images, and I'm not going to go far too much in depth in Photoshop. This is just a basic guide so that you guys and girls will be able to maximize, really improve your images. And as you can see here, that is this image. And if we go back onto the actual image itself, the original image, okay, through the process image, you can really tell the difference now. Right, again, everyone's got different tastes, alright, and okay, it's a lot more enhanced, there's a lot more detail in there, but it really is up to you. There's no guidelines. You don't have to use Photoshop. You can still take great pictures and without even doing any post-processing. It really is up to you. So again, that's a very good image. I will then save that. Going to save as, and we're going to save that image. Again, you can save it in a TIFF if you wish. If you've got really good pictures and they've come out, I recommend that you save them as TIFFs. But because this is one of my not so great images, I will just use them as a JPEG format. Okay, and that's what I would do anyway for images not so great. But again, I just save it onto there. I'm happy with that image. Okay, quality, we want to have the maximum quality of it. So there you go. That's how you do a basic processing on enhancing your images of Northern Lights. So we're going to quickly get out of Photoshop. Okay. Now we're going to show you how to do a time-lapse movie. It is highly recommended that you do a time-lapse video. Now we're going to click onto the my actual time-lapse video frames. These are JPEG frames, and as you can see, using JPEG frames between 3 to 5 Mbits per frame. Now if you take these in RAW, you're going to use your memory card rather quickly. Unless you've got an expensive camera and an expensive memory card, you could take RAW. But I recommend that you take it in JPEG format, and you can get loads of frames. This is just a few 300, 400 frames here that's being collected. You then go into Star Trails version. Now Star Trails is basically a program which you can use to create your own star trail images. And what that does is if you refer to taking star trails, a video guide, I actually show how to use this program. But we're not concerned about making star trails. What we are concerned about is actually making a time-lapse movie of the Northern Lights. And to do this, it's so easy. We go into File, we open our images. So we find our file and find out where we keep our images. There's our images. We press left click on the button on the mouse, hold down the shift key, and we scroll down to the very bottom to the last frame. We then click on open, and that basically gives us our frames. Okay, and that's my actual frame here, the start of the frame. We then click onto this icon here. It says video. So we click on the video, and you can adjust your screen size, but I prefer to have it at 1080 by 170 format. The frames per second rate I will leave well alone. If you adjust the frames, you're going to adjust the animation, and 15 frames per second is usually a good all-round animation process. And again, you can change the name of your file as well. Okay, so we go Aurora, and we basically click OK. And what we're doing is, with the 378 frames, the program is going to create a time-lapse video for you. So it's going to process the frames, it's going to stack them together, and then enable you to take an AVA file. And it's as simple as this. It really is. So we'll let it do its motion, and we'll come back later on after it's just finished processing it. So now Star Trails is finished editing my video. We then minimize the program after we clicked OK. We then find our video, which is here. We click on that, and then there you go. Here is an absolute stunning video of the Northern Lights. As you can see here, this is around about 3 hours film within a 25-second limit, and it really is stunning. And you too can create this yourselves. So what do you reckon? You can do it. Please try it out. I seriously recommend that you do your time-lapse videos, especially in moments like these. Highly recommended that you take a time-lapse video.
So now you know how to get your camera set up, and at such a magical moment, and I want you to get these images. I want you to witness this experience for yourself. It is the best thing I seriously recommend. And for me, to not have seen the Northern Lights for the first time in my entire life, I've achieved one of my goals in my entire life. And you too, I can't agree more. I can't recommend any. Just get those images. Please keep posting those great images. We want you to get this magical event. We want you to do this. We want you to achieve the impossible. You do not need to travel from thousands of miles on holiday and spend a lot of money to get the best views. You can get this within the UK. You just need a bit of practice, bit of chance of planning your preparation of your equipment, and then snap. That's all you've got to do. And it takes time and patience, but again, you can do it. You can achieve this, and I want you to get it. Alright, I want you to get this magical moment and witness for yourself, because I highly recommend that you do that. And again, and I'm sure some of our other members would totally agree. So, thanks for watching my video guide. Good luck, and get these Northern Light images. We want you to get there. So thanks again, thanks for watching, and clear skies to you all.